Night Owls with Alan Robson.
What are we talking about next? You make the call. 0191 488 3188.
Greatest Hits Radio.
You are with the big one. Ross Tealsdale wants a shout out for Robbie Dale, who retired as a legend from Blythe Spartans after 17 seasons, 600 appearances. Not often seen in modern football. Scored some amazing goals. One from his own half that was even better than Beckham's, apparently. There you go. Good stuff. Let's get talking to people, though, because that's what it's all about. Keep the calls coming. Thanks for all the mentions as well. Thank you also for the birthday cards. Got a whole batch of them over the past week. Few waiting today on a Sunday. Don't know how that happened. But thank you very much anyway. And let us go talking to Daniel, who is in Newcastle upon Tyne. Hi, Daniel.
Hello there, Alan. You all right?
Yes, I'm good, mate. What you got for us all?
Yeah, when you were talking about car root sales, I've got a bit of an experience around when I was a kid. Like,
Oh, go on, eh?
I used to go to the car root sale nearly every Sunday with my dad.
Right.
We were walking along, and I used to look through the toy box to see what was out there. Took me fancy, and
Yeah.
I picked something out of a box, and I didn't know what it was. So I sort of picked it up in front of everyone and went to my dad. Went, yeah, Dad, what's that? What's that used for? And it was someone had put a vibrator on the box, and I didn't realise what it was because I was only about 10 or 11, and I was sort of like on a car root sale waving it out saying, Dad, what's that?
I can imagine you saying, I'm Luke Skywalker. Boom.
I was there. He come across and he said, put it back in the box now. And I think he had words with a bloke or something, but
Yeah.
that was one of the experiences on a car root sale. Like.
It's just funny because I never used to go to them. I quite like them, but I never used to go to them. And there was a one at Bladen Rugby Club. They have a one on a Sunday. And when the old radio station that I used to work for was in Swalwell, one Sunday I was in early and I saw all these people coming away with bundles of stuff, and I thought, oh, I'm going to have a look in there. The very first thing I saw was a wooden toilet seat, and you know where your legs sit, where your bum cheeks go, it was all the paint was worn away, and there was two like bum marks where, and I'm thinking, nobody in your right mind is going to buy a used wooden toilet seat where somebody's bum has done that. And when I came out, after doing a circuit, it had gone. Somebody had it away. And you're thinking, that there must be something for everybody there. Who in their right mind would say, oh, that plastic one's not very good. Let's get one that's got a bum imprint on it. Just weird.
Some funny people out there with some funny fetishes, like. But it was a canny toilet seat anyway.
It must have been. Anything else while you're on then, Dan?
No, that's it.
Good lad. Thanks for coming on. Good talking to you, man.
Right.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. There's Daniel and waving around a lady's intimate product. Yes, there you go. And we'll follow that up with Helen in concert. And I promise you, Helen, I won't mention it or ask you the obvious question. Hello, Helen.
Oh, hello, Alan. Hiya, how are you? Right.
I'm very well, thank you. Just all I needed right now was a mountain woman, and there you are. So thank you very much for calling. What are you ringing in about tonight?
Right, what it was, Alan, at the end of August, a lady rang in. Now, she said she lived in Cromlington and she'd moved up to Kielder.
Yes.
And she was telling everybody, or advising everybody, it's going to be the harvest moon tomorrow night, and if you all put a glass of water out and the moon hits the water...
Yes.
It'll bring you good health and wealth. And I became, actually I did that. And
did it work?
I think it did, yes. I'm quite amazed how something so, I'm not going to say so trivial as putting a glass of water on the extension roof.
Yeah.
And then...
How did you get it on the extension? Did you go up the ladders? And how did you do this then?
No, I've got a little wall.
Right. So you can stand on the wall.
Yeah.
But you see, yes, I know they're superstitions, but they only have to work for 1 out of 1,000 people. And trust me, the person that it works for, like you, will tell, as you are, hundreds of thousands of people all over the planet, and they all go, when's the next one? Because the harvest moon obviously is the nearest moon usually till the end of August, which is, I think... It's quite a small moon, but it's the harvest moon, and it's a sign of the autumn equinox. So it's a very sacred time for all of the people who had beliefs before established religion came in. You know, this is for the 53,000 years before Christ, because all those people had their beliefs, but it was in nature mostly, and they all believed that if you could put a tribute out for the harvest moon, which is a glass of water, should the moon shine on it, and if it's a clear night, it shines on everything, then you'll have good fortune. And if you do these things, and I think it's as much what you do as what the glass of water does. You look at that and you say, I wish, and you got positivity towards, I want good things to happen. I think there's a mixture of the two things. And then you stop remembering that brown bill that arrived on the 3 days later, and you forget the fact that you tripped and the back of your legs been knacking for a month. You forget all of them and you remember, I won £10 on the lottery, you know. So you start counting all the but you say, to me, a very famous song, accentuate the positive and reject the negative. There's an awful lot to be said for that. And all of these little things, if they make you think positively and they push you forward with a smile on your chops and think, do you know, just what if that was working? And the thing that you should also think is, if it hadn't worked, what state would you be in?
Is this paganism, Alan?
Yes. You see, when you say paganism, everybody kind of goes, oh, witches, Antichrist and Satan, and it's nothing to do. Satan's a Christian thing. They invented him, they created him, they ended up putting him in a Bible where he wasn't, just to try and scare people to get into the church in the Middle Ages when people weren't going to church, and they were, I'm not going to church, but if you come to church you have to give us money. Oh, I'll go, especially if you don't stab me, I'll definitely go. And so that's kind of where Satan came in. So don't think it had anything to do with dark, nasty, witchy. Nowadays, a lot of the modern people who believe in witchcraft, Wiccans, Gardnerians, there's a whole range of different types of people that believe in gods and goddesses and all of that. The old style people, and if you choose to call them non-believers, it sounds more benign, because that's all they were. They were not believers in conventional religion. They believed in nature. They protected nature. They paid tribute to rivers and gave them little coins or gave them a shining stone as a thank you for providing fish and clean water. They would give a tribute to the sea as a thank you for all the fish and all of the mussels, and because we used to eat a lot of seafood back then. So you basically thank what the earth gives you, and you look after the earth, because if you look after it, it'll look after you. So that's where it comes from. And when people say, is it a pagan thing? Yes, but the words and how they're dressed hide what was really happening. Okay, they may well not have believed in Buddha, Muhammad, Christ, or any of the usual suspects. Instead, they knew the sun was going to come up tomorrow, it was going to warm the planet, and wow, wasn't that good? And then the Christians said, well, they worship the sun god. No, they didn't. They were just glad that the sun came up the following day because it would be warm. And they knew that when the moon came out, it was controlling the tides, which had an impact on when they would go fishing. So they just looked after the planet a bit more, and they didn't particularly go to war. They tended to look after one another. It's bizarre. There's a few really good books called...
I was just going to ask you, because we haven't got the internet, and I was going to ask you, is there any books, that I could...
Have it. You have to save up for it, because it's a big sucker. It took me a while to get it. It's a real big, thick volume, and it's called Britain BC.
Right.
And it tells you a lot of what was happening in Britain. The problem is it was written by a Christian, so he's kind of got a lot of those, and they believed in this and it was that, and they committed sacrifices, and nobody really knows, because we only know about 3,000 years of history. Everything before that is assumptions, but the things that we can guarantee are that all over Britain, because remember, we were stuck to Europe at the time, we were part of it before the seas rose and we broke off and sailed away. We were part of Europe, and we had wolves and bears and all kinds of amazing creatures. But we had major sophisticated civilizations all over the place, eating well, looking after each other. And if you look at the graves of those people, they died of disease, yes, but very few of them died of wars, battles, broken skulls, stab wounds. Then as soon as you get into established religion, cemeteries are full of all the people getting killed, stabbed, mutilated, battered, biffed, and all the rest. It's an interesting thing to look at. But when somebody says, oh, them pagans, them heathens, them... If you say atheists, well, then you don't feel threatened particularly, because I do think the words themselves, you don't want to mess with that, you know. And if you're a nature lover, just be a nature lover. Don't put a name on it. If you love nature and you respect it and you want to protect the little bit of ground that you've got, that makes you a nature lover, so be one of them. And don't be a pagan, don't be anything, don't give it a name, just love nature and you'll be better off for it. And what you've done with the glass, first of all, was quite brave, because even though it sounds a very simple thing, had you done that openly in about 700 or 800 years of our last 2,000 years history, you would have been killed for doing that, because it's blasphemy. Or the Christians at the time considered it blasphemous, and it's proof that you're a heathen, that you're a witch, that you're a warlock, that you're...
Is that because you're worshipping false gods? Is that how they would look at it?
Well, that's what they would say, because it wasn't a Christian thing to do. And also, if you have good fortune, you've got to go to church and you're going to thank whichever god for that good fortune, because you've got to remember, if anything good happens, it's the faith that you are doing that for you. If something bad happens, well, it's because that deity gave us free will. So they get all the good stuff and they don't take any of the bad stuff. They've always done that. All of the faiths. So you just got to remember that what you actually did, to me, putting a glass of water on a roof, to me, should never be sacrilegious. It's from a different belief that Christians, particularly in Britain, frown down upon, to the degree that they would force people out of their homes and take their homes and give them their land, their animals, and their whatever they had to the church. And that's why today, and I know you say, well, that was a long time ago. Today, the church is one of the biggest landowners in Britain because it did that for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's just interesting to give it a different perspective. You don't have to believe it. I would say just because you did that doesn't make you anything other than somebody that heard something and wanted to give it a go. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's just you did something that was kind of old school. And why not? And if it I hope it worked in spades.
You kind of sort of conjure up anything bad. Well, when I thought about it, I thought it was just putting a glass on a wall.
Yeah, but how can that...
conjure anything bad up by it, can you?
No, absolutely. But you see, if you are an avid anything, and you... hang on, but that's not how we do it. Because everybody that has a strong faith, and I've got absolute respect for anybody that believes totally in whatever it is they believe, but in each case, they believe that they're the only ones right.
Yeah,
and they believe that everybody else is wrong. And if everybody else is wrong, are some of them dangerous that's wrong? Shouldn't mess with this, shouldn't mess with that. You know, we were talking earlier that an exorcist has slammed the fact that Poundland are now selling Ouija boards. Now, now you say, you see, because everybody's told it opens the portal and all of these things come out. Over the years, and I am an exorcist, but over the years, trust me, if a spirit, if an energy wants to communicate with somebody, it doesn't need a board game to do it. Otherwise, it would be doing it when you played Scrabble, chess, Trivial Pursuit. If it wants to show itself in a property, it'll show itself in a property. It doesn't need a shot glass, and people, frankly, usually pushing. And even if they're not pushing, they're pushing but not realising they're pushing, because they think everybody else is pushing. So 4 fingers on a glass and the glass starts moving and everybody goes, more often than not, I'm sure on occasion something may well have come through, but more often than not, it's just a bit of fun that doesn't do any damage.
Yeah,
The church say, don't mess with it because you're messing around with something that you don't understand. Now, the only thing to understand about a Ouija board is it's a bit of paper with some letters on. That's it. That's what it is. You get a little pointer, and that's it. Now, I'm not saying to anybody mess around with these things, because, as you say, if you're remotely worried about it, don't do it. Why put yourself through that? And then, of course, once you do it and anything bad happens, you go, oh, you know what that is? That's because it's a self-fulfilling kind of prophecy thing. But once again, it's not the people who invented the Ouija board, because some very famous people have used it. You know, like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote all the Sherlock Holmes. He was an avid Ouija. He did an awful lot of seances and stuff like that. And he wasn't a demonic, he was a Christian. So there's a lot of people that have used it, and they use it because they're trying to get in touch with people who've passed over that they loved, in the same way that people go to the Christian spiritualist church to try and see if a message comes through. And
we go to the spirit. Well, not at the moment, obviously, but
Sure.
we go to the spiritualist church, and
there you go.
yeah.
But you see, you wouldn't say that anybody there's demonic or devilish or da-di-da, but...
Not really, no. Most of them look like little old grannies, you know.
Yeah, but you see, if you talk to some people in other branches of the Christian faith, just don't mess with that. Talking to dead people, so it depends who you talk to. To me, I would always keep your own counsel, be sensible, be realistic, and if something sounds ridiculous, it usually is. You know, we've got a good gut for doing the sensible thing, most people. You see, I trust people. The church doesn't. The church doesn't allow people any flexibility. That's a sin, that's a sin, that's a sin. There's no grey areas. And other faiths too are fairly strict. You have to obey this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And I just trust people more than that. I think people usually do sensible things.
I know you've got a lot of callers coming on, but
Sure.
I mean, if I just mention this, I was brought up strict Catholic, and I was in an abusive marriage, and I ended up in a women's refuge.
Oh,
now,
blimey.
I went to, it was a cathedral, a Catholic cathedral, and I asked if I could speak to the priest, because I was divorced, and I said, could I, to get back into the way of the church, and I was told that I wasn't welcome in a Catholic church because I was divorced. And he said to me, who instigated the divorce? Was it you or your husband? And I said it was me, because obviously,
you were being battered by him.
I just wanted me and my children to be away from this
Safe.
man.
Absolutely.
And that was, he said, well, you're just not, no, I don't want to talk to you. You're not welcome in this church. I was actually very upset about it. I thought it was really ridiculous. No ifs or buts or why did this happen? Right. Or just get out like it.
I've heard thousands of similar stories, particularly about Catholicism. I'm not going to knock. That's just one of the faiths. Let's face it. There's an awful lot that have spurned people in the past. But you see, all of the people that do this, whether they're Catholics, whether they're Presbyterians, Methodists, or whatever they happen to be, or any of the other faiths, if they do that, they're forgetting their own book. Forgive them their trespasses. We forgive others who trespass against us. It's a basic commandment, and they're completely ignoring their own book. Now, to me, that's what human beings do. They choose to forget the teachings, because usually the teachings are based on fairly solid common sense. You know, in most of the Bible stories, even though people say they're true, to me, they're just stories that set an example. They try and give you a moral standpoint. And for all of those reasons, they're worth having. I don't think you should take them as gospel, if you'll pardon the pun, but they're good stories that set people on the right track, whether it's the Quran or whether it's the Bible, whether it's the Talmud or any of the other holy books. They're all essentially based on, well, do the right thing and you'll be all right. But the thing that kind of irritates me, if anything does, is just there's 2,700, there's probably more now, but when I first researched this, there were 2,470 different religions on the planet that had more than 100,000 people following them, if you understand that. Some of them have like 80 million people following them. So, but they're all separate religions. Now, to me, that's 2,400 and odd to 1 against whether you've got the right one or not. If you think about it, because they all can't be right.
Well, no.
So that being the case, do you play the odds? And now more and more people are questioning everything as they do. But once again, believe and follow what you like. I think it's horrible that anybody spurns anyone. And it's interesting because the Pope, again, Catholics we're talking about, for many, many years didn't want to accept anybody that was gay, despite the fact that priests all over the world were subsequently found to be homosexual. And why, why not? However, to be gay and a Catholic, I think that's a huge test of, it's more than faith that kind of comes in. I can't imagine what it would be like to have to deal with that kind of negative pressure against your lifestyle while you're actually in the church. So if anybody is and wants to talk about it, please do. It's just the world is full of hypocrisy of one sort or another, and I think it was sinful, to use a kind of a religious term, that anybody should turn their back on you when you needed them most.
Well, I thought it was, and I thought, well, they're always saying the numbers are declining on people going to church. I thought, well, you would think they would want to encourage people to go, not to, you know what I mean?
Well, the numbers of people going to church are fewer now than they've ever been, and obviously this whole COVID thing, strangely enough, has stopped people going to the pub. So I bet and in future, a lot of people will not return to pubs, I'm fairly sure. And maybe it'll be the same way about churches. Who knows?
Possibly, yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Hey, but lovely talking to you, Helen. Thank you very much for coming on.
Right, thank you very much, Anne.
Thanks, darling. You take care. Be well. What a shame. Because she was divorced, the church said, no, you're not welcome here. What's that all about? You with the big one? I think we have somebody. Oh, here we go. It's Jay from Los Angeles, California. Hello, Jay.
How you doing there, Alan?
I'm
good.
good.
Thank you so much for taking my call.
No problem. Thank you for getting in touch. How can we help you?
Well, yeah, I got to say, I got a chuckle out of your application of odds and logic on that last call about possibly having the wrong religion. And I don't know that people won't be coming to the pub. I think that as soon as they're available, they'll be there.
Yeah. How is it where you are in Los Angeles? Because the LA people in general, they want to go out, they want to have a good time. It's what the whole town's for. Right the way up the coast and everything.
That's true.
Are people still going out and doing, or are they taking lockdown seriously there?
It's really a mixed bag. For me, I'm right in Hollywood.
Right.
I'm a couple blocks away from Sunset Boulevard.
Wow.
And, I see people walking back and forth, through my front window, some with masks, some without, walking their dogs and such. I know people who still go to the beach and practice distancing, and while they're there, they might take masks off. But for the most part, I think people are being pretty conservative. I know that, that people are still getting groceries delivered and washing them off before they put them in the fridge. And people are wearing masks before they go to, a lot of employers are encouraging their employees to go into the office, but to wear masks while they're there.
Gotcha.
But that sort of thing. I think people are more or less still playing it safe. But I think as soon as people feel as though it's getting better, as soon as people feel like the rate of infection is going down, then because they're so tired of being inside all the time, it's like, things are getting better. Now it's okay for us to go outside. And of course, as soon as people start doing that more, then the rate of infection is going to go up again. So I think there's some education that needs to happen there.
Okay. One last question. Did you see the Trump-Joe Biden debate?
I could hardly call that a debate. I mean, it was just basically interruptions from Trump the whole time. I think, in fact, Chris Christie, one of Trump's campaign advisors, told Trump to try to interrupt Biden as much as possible to try to get Biden's stuttering to come to the fore, which would make him look a little less lucid. But of course, that didn't happen. Biden performed very well.
Trump just appeared.
Commentary.
Your president just seemed to come across as really irritating.
Oh yeah, totally unhinged, right? I mean, you could probably guess, who I'm voting for based on my comments here, and also that I'm simply in California. but yeah, Trump was out of hand, and I think that people really saw through his performance as him really not really having much to say of his own, and so. That's that. We'll only be able to see what happens in a month at the polls, right?
Absolutely.
But the reason that I'm actually calling, of course, it's not the middle of the night for me. It's not early evening for me. It's only 2:49 p.m.
Hooray!
And it's sort of, I was on Facebook, and sort of serendipitously I saw the little bug that came up in the corner saying that you were live.
Right.
And I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time.
Do it.
Yeah, because I have a question that sort of, it's going to require that you think back a good 45 years.
I think I can do that. What's the question?
Yeah. So it's my understanding, I'm a huge Sting and Police fan.
Right.
Sting being obviously one of the people who draws a lot of attention to your locality.
Sure.
From international stage, and from my understanding, and you had Sting on your program in a band before the Police.
Last Exit.
Last Exit.
Yes.
Yeah, and I wanted, any recollections whatsoever that you could bring up. I'm fascinated by this. What they played, what year it was that this happened.
Oh, blimey! I couldn't give you the year, but it was the last year that Last Exit were together. Because then it went. It'd be 76.
Yeah, 76, 77.
Things went quiet a little bit. And now, at this particular time, I was just doing 2 shows a week for the station. One was called the Hot and Heavy Express. And on Sunday, I did another show that was essentially a complete eclectic mix of a little bit of reggae, a little bit of jazz, funk, soul, bit of Fred Astaire, who cares, anything. And I would mix rock music with jazz and funk with even metal on occasions, because a lot of them come from similar roots. And the show, I thought, was a success. It ran for about 6 or 7 years. And Last Exit wanted to come on, and I was very keen to plug local bands. Didn't know Gordon Sumner at all at the time. I'd heard of him, and his brother had hung out with another presenter that was at the radio station at the time. So, but that's, it's kind of normal that somebody would hang out with somebody in a radio station when their brother's trying to make a band because they want to get the band heard and all that kind. So it wasn't a big deal because nobody knew where Sting or any member of the band was going to go. The band were fairly quiet. Sting wasn't. It seemed right from the very it seemed very simple right from the beginning. He knew where he wanted to be. He thought the band could get him where that was. I asked them if they would play a tune for me, and they say, well, okay, prove it to the people. If you're that good, give us a song. Sang a song called The Bed's Too Big Without Me, I think is the name. The
Bed's Too Big Without You. That's a terrific song.
It's a really good song. They did a laid back, kind of loose acoustic bass version of it, and I thought it was amazing. Loved his voice, kind of knew he was going places, but I wasn't sure the band were. They seemed to me, and I've interviewed a lot of local bands, and local bands essentially, when they get the chance to perform in front of a microphone, they tend to gush. I've got to tell you a million things to tell you, but it was very different, because instead he controlled it with a kind of discipline that you don't normally see, a self-assurance that made me realise that guy's got it. Don't know whether he'll have it with them, but some band will pick him up, take him away. Well, instead, he picked up a band and took them away, and of course the police. And then, about a year, maybe 2 years later, the police were headlining at a local stadium in the northeast called Gateshead International Stadium. The police were the headline band. U2 were the support group. There was two other bands on the bill. One was The Beat, who were kind of a ska outfit that had a couple of hits, and an indie band that were kind of dark and gothic called The Lords of the New Church. And I hosted the gig and watched them play live on a stage in front of 30-odd thousand people, and they were you could see instantly why they were the supergroup that they were, because they were immaculate. Didn't drop a note. Everything was under control. Control's a big thing for Sting, and you could see they were going to go on and on and on, and they did, of course.
I bet you that show that you hosted, the 30,000 people, I bet you it's somewhere on YouTube that people can watch it today.
It was kind of in the day where there wasn't. If anybody filmed it, it wouldn't have been on a phone or anything. You know, we're talking in the days
right,
when,
of course. Yeah.
when it would be a cine camera or something like that. They may well. Do you know the weird thing was I had the original tapes from that show. They gave
no
me
kidding.
They give me the tapes for them, and they were on Revox tapes, and I ditched my Revox player, and I had 1,000 tapes.
Are you saying you have the audio from your program, or are you saying you have the video from the large show?
No, I had the tapes of the recording of the live show.
From your radio program?
No, it was given to me by the sound engineer at the gig. He says, "Would you like a copy of these?" And I said, "Of course." And I never used them. I just took them away, you know, for a rainy day. And then about 20 years later, when I didn't have a Revox player and had a load of tapes that were doing nothing, they got junked, and I've regretted it ever since.
Oh, got it. You're talking about recordings of the U2 and the Beat and the Police show. The
all of them.
Wow.
All of them, right the way through. Hey, but I must take a break. Jay, it's been a joy. I hope I've given you the information you need.
Yeah, that was a great description. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No problem. Bless you, man. Thanks for coming on. Make it happen again someday.
Okay.
All right, man.
Take care.
Thanks again. Bye-bye. There's Jay from Los Angeles, California. And, the happy days I've had at Palisades Park. Anyway, interesting from days gone by, the stuff we got up to. Now, a tiny piece of music that also features the noise you make when you strain on the toilet. But just before that, let's hear the Stranglers' Jean-Jacques Burnel.
I fear never being able to write a half-decent song again.
Right.
That's one big fear.
I'm just writing that down. JJ's frightened. Fear of not being able to perform. Gotcha? Right.
Excuse me. That's not... I've been misinterpreted again.
Journalists have been doing that to you for years. Come on.
Yeah. That's a good one, though.
Yeah. Ever seen a ghost or had a strange, spooky anything in your life?
No, I tried. Funnily enough, we started an album called Norfolk Coast, and on it is a song called Tucker's Grave, and it's about the cider house at the end of the lane. It's called Tucker's Grave because it's on a little crossroads, and the guy Tucker himself had hung himself in the days when suicide was illegal. And when you committed suicide, you couldn't be buried in consecrated ground, so you were usually, your body was dumped on a crossroads, which was symbolic, and it would be picked up and buried in a pauper's grave or whatever. But I was sleeping in the farmhouse in just where he hung himself.
Right.
My bed was just below the rafters where he hung himself. So on a nightly basis, when I've had a few ciders, I was trying to beckon his spirit to come and because they said it was haunted.
Right.
But I wasn't.
Not a whisper.
I wasn't on the same frequency as the ghost, so I missed out on there.
This is the home of Alan Robson's Night Owls.
With the voice of the North.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Now, if you would like to win yourself a Greatest Hits Night Owls mug and raise some money for Cash for Kids in the process, all you have to do is identify a greatest hit from 4 words. I'm going to give you 4 words from a song that was an international hit, but it was a hit in Britain by a very particular act. I would like you to tell me the name of that act, the act that had the biggest hit with it, and tell me the name of the song, please. Going to give you 4 clues. You will end up with 4 words. You have to tell me what the name of the song is. Song and the singer, please, or singers, plural. Clue number 1, take the P out of Winnie the Pooh. Okay? Take the poo. No. Take the P out of... No, don't take the poo. Take the P out of Winnie the Pooh. That's your first clue. Take the P out of Winnie the Pooh. Write down the answer. You will have 3 more words coming. Then you've got to tell me the name of the big hit, the greatest hit, from the 4 words, if you can do it. Right, let's get cracking. Who's out there in the dark? I think it's Val from Benwell. Hello, Val.
Hello, Alan. Happy birthday for Tuesday gone.
Thank you, darling. Bless you.
Getting older by the day.
Oh, tell me about it.
Getting older.
Hey, I tell you, just more experienced. I'm becoming more vintage as the years go by. But what can we do for you, Val?
Just the kids have all gone back to school, but they're all in these bubbles.
Yes.
Now, the bubbles means they don't get out as much.
Mm-hmm.
So they're stuck in the classroom at lunch times.
Yeah.
You can imagine what ends up on the wall. Apples, oranges, anything they get in the packed lunch because they're not getting hot school meals.
Right.
Well, the seniors aren't. I don't know about the primary schools, but I know some of the primary schools are getting the hot school meals.
What decides whether you do or whether you don't? I mean, how does it work? Has somebody made a decision that the posher kids get some hot stuff? And
well, it's not posher kids even, really. I mean, the younger ones obviously get a hot school meal because they need a meal through the day to keep them going the rest of the day.
Right.
And some of the bands will not eat breakfast before they go to school in the mornings, will they? So the breakfast clubs have stopped.
Right. I remember my breakfast when I was tiny was sweets. Mm-hmm. My mum would say, here's a slice of toast. I'd go outside and the birds would get that. And then you'd go with your mates and pool the few pennies you had to get a packet of opal fruits or something. And we'd have about 3 opal fruits each as we walked down to school. But doesn't it... The reason I think they give you your dinner, especially when you... Like, I'm talking infants into juniors, is do you remember sleepy time?
Well, we didn't get that, I don't think, although you might have got a nap time, yeah.
Because what we would do, they would say, look, it's 2:00 now.
It's called reading time now, though.
Oh, is it? Oh, no, it's sleepy.
They get reading time now. That's the quiet time now. And if the band fall off to sleep while you get in, the teacher must have time to do something else.
No, because they used to say, okay, everybody come down, leave your desk. And you remember the desks were like about the size of a garden gnome's desk. Just these little tiny things.
I don't know. I've never grown that much anyway.
Well, they used to say, leave your desk and you come down to the front, and then the teacher would sit on a little chair and they'd read a story and they'd say, it's sleepy time, so what you've got to do is just lie down on the floor, and if you close your eyes, you might just go to sleep while I'm telling you this story. She'd read the story, and because you'd just been fed and your little belly was full, within like 5 minutes of everybody was away, and then about an hour later you'd wake up and you were just you wanted to get out and play football, you wanted to climb a wall or a tree, you were like it was like a power nap back then.
Exactly.
Happy days.
Well, I think the schools didn't the schools seem to be longer when we were at school?
Well, they're not, because they seem to get out about 3:05. I remember going to school till after 4:00 when I was a kid.
That's what I thought. I'm sure we used to get about 3 lessons in the afternoon as well.
Absolutely.
In the morning, you know what I mean? But never mind. Obviously, they changed the time so that the children weren't coming out when it was too dark in the winter.
Oh, is that what it was about?
That's what it's all about.
But if they get out early in winter, then they're going in when it's pitch black.
Well, not really, because they're coming in at 8:00 and 9:00, so I think it's lighting up about then.
Right.
It's just us smugs that go into work and clean up after them. That's coming out after.
Oh, blame! Is that your occupation, Val? Or was that your
love,
occupation?
yeah.
Oh, blimey!
I've got nothing about. Got to do that until another 2 years.
Right.
Sorry, 1.5 years now, and I'm counting the
It sounds like you're on there, and you're working down day by day. Another day off the calendar.
I am counting the hours. Don't you worry. I'm going to go and tell Boris if he moves that bloody goalpost anymore, I'll be knocking on 10 Downing Street and cutting his hair.
I know, because just the other day they put a thing up, like a little message that goes around on Google News, and they say, important news about pensions. And the important news was they're keeping all the money for another year for the people from a certain year. Now you're going to be 66, and then they're going to shift it to 67, then they're going to shift it, and eventually it'll be 70.
That's what I'm thinking, who wants... I mean, I know there's a lot of people do, like when they retire, say, I'd rather be back at work, I've got nothing... I'm sure I could find plenty to do with my day.
I think so. As long as you can eat and survive on whatever you get.
Aye, exactly.
That'll do.
Well, I've paid into a private pension as well as
you swanky woman! How rich are you?
No, I'm not going to be rich by any chance. I'll just be borderline.
Right. Well,
so even if you get £5 over, you get no help, so that makes no difference.
That's true.
I'd be living on the bread lines, not be going to bingo, because I didn't go bingo anyway.
Right, now that's all right.
I didn't gamble.
No.
I didn't think I'd be going on foreign holidays, because I didn't like flying.
So you'll have enough?
Yeah, I'll have enough to live on.
That's
just about.
As much as you can hope for.
If I've got £5 a day to live on, I suppose I could have sit outside as and ask anybody if they've got any spare change. Somebody asked me that the other day, and I told him off, because he asked us for £1, not spare change.
What?
He went, have you got £1 out?
Yeah.
I just stood and I went, hey son, I'm 64 and I've got to get out to walk, so I'm sorry. You've got shelter now, because they've took most of them off the street.
Yeah.
So he sort of got shelter off his knee. He moved after that.
Do you know when they ended the lockdown last time?
Yeah.
I went to see some family in Manchester, and when I was in Manchester city centre, a guy came up to me and said, you got any spare change? I'm living on the streets, and it was starting to rain a bit, like it always is in Manchester. And I said, I'm not going to give you any money, but I will get you something to eat if you want, and a hot drink.
Aye.
And he told me to F off.
Exactly.
And said, I want the effing money. And I'm thinking, well, you will not get the effer off me. So there.
Exactly. Well, I'd walked past somebody when I was going into Iceland.
Right.
I was going into Iceland, and I walked past one of the lads, and he had a load of shrapnel in his tub, and he was sitting, putting it all together, and he goes, oh, that's a heap of... And I went, all right. So you'll not be getting out of his knee. No. Don't say that when I'm going past your son.
No, absolutely.
I felt like kicking his box all out and saying, count it again now.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, really? You don't mind, well, saying that nobody should be begging now?
Well, it's just...
Because they've been taken off the streets and given extra money, Alan. That's what the annoying thing is.
Mm-hmm. But if you remember when they did that thing about street beggars in Middlesbrough and Newcastle, there was 13 real ones, and all the rest were fakes. And then I got all those telephone calls from taxi drivers saying that at the end of a day's begging, some of these guys get a taxi to the house they live in, because they're not homeless.
Exactly.
And they're making up to £200 a week.
That's ridiculous.
On top of their benefits.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if they sell the magazine, I used to buy that at one time. Yeah. But when I've seen other people selling that magazine, then stand with a load of shopping by the side of them, I think, you're doing better than me, and you can't be doing that much of selling them stupid magazines.
No, not at all. No.
But anyway, I'll let somebody else come on. Oh, okay. And I hope... Did you say Hazel was coming on this week?
Hazel said she was. I don't see her in the queue yet, but she said she was going to do that.
I hope she gets on, and tell her we were all thinking of her when she was off.
Absolutely. Hey, no worries. Thanks for coming on, love. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye. There's Val from the West End. Oh. And now you see, if I was American, like Jay, I would say my old alma mater. I'm not even sure what that means. I presume it means that your old school was in that neck of the woods, and it was Wickenview. Anyway, let's crack on. We have Susie, and if you knew Susie, like I knew Susie, she's in South Shields. Hi, Susie.
Hello.
Hello, darling. What are you talking about tonight?
Well, I'm talking about I've had a bit too much to drink, Alan.
Oh, dear. What are you celebrating?
Nothing. Alan, what can we celebrate in the COVID life?
Well, you can celebrate being alive and not having it.
Exactly.
There
well,
you go.
For it.
Good girl.
How are you anyway?
I'm fine. Do you think alcohol kind of keeps it at bay?
Well, I think we're all turning alcoholics through it all.
Well, I mean, but you're not going to the pub, so what do you drink at home? Are you a gin woman? I'm
a gin woman.
There you go.
Gin and tonic with a slice of lemon.
A slice of lemon, gin and tonic. So how many you had, do you think, then, Sue?
Oh, I don't know. I probably had about 5.
5. Oh, well, you're nearly flying. You've got probably one more to go, and then you can sail off into the distance tonight.
Thank you. Anyway, Alan.
Yes.
Alan,
hello.
you know, when I was younger. No, seriously. Lisa Rafe had a crush on you.
Oh, dear. Right.
Do you not remember?
Lisa?
She used to always come near the Metro Centre.
Yes, she used to always come to gigs and she used to come and see me a lot, yes.
Did, yeah, and also there was Lisa and there was Lorraine.
Remember?
Can you?
Yeah, they were always in the front. They always pushed themselves right to the very front whenever we did any gigs.
They're really, really... Anyway, how's your family?
Everybody's champion. Thank you very much. All fit and well, thank you.
Oh, I'm pleased. Honestly, Alan, I shouldn't even be drinking,
Wait, hey, what else are you going to do? Come on.
I know, but it's a bit much, isn't it?
Hey, if you feel better for it, just feel better for it. Just don't let it take you over. You keep control of it rather than it controlling you. That's the thing.
Oh, I will. Don't worry about that.
Nee, bosh then.
Can I put Rowan on my son?
Right.
There you go, my daughter. That's going to say hello.
Yeah, hi. I can't hold that.
She's in the background. Hey, well, hello and thank you anyway. Enjoy your night. I'm going to move on, but Susie, thank you for calling. Susie and pals, they've got a nice little night going on. Don't know whether they're socially distancing or is it their bubble. It certainly bubbles from the tonic in their gin, I fancy. Linda is with us. She's in Dunstan. Hello, Linda.
Hello, happy birthday for Thursday.
Thank you, Kaylee. Bless you.
Did you have a nice day?
Yes, I did have a nice day. Thank you. Yeah.
You didn't sound too convincing.
No, because I was trying to remember what I actually did on Thursday. Because do you know when you're only working the odd day?
Yes.
Everything just runs into one. It's a nightmare. But yes, I had a lovely time. Thank you.
Good, I'm pleased about that. Your first caller, was it Helen?
Yes.
She was on about paganism and things like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Like you, I believe in nature, and when you look back at our history and things like that. Anyway, my son put me onto a really interesting book, which you've probably read. It's called The Real Middle Earth.
Yes, I have read that.
By Brian Bates.
Yes.
Found it fascinating. My son put us onto it because he's a jeweler, and a lot of his jewellery is to do with sort of
spiritualism. Yeah. No, absolutely.
But not religious.
All right, okay.
You know what I mean? I couldn't say he's religious. I don't know whether he is or not. But there you go. He's my son. I haven't got a clue.
There you go.
But when they reach 40-something, you pass it.
No, you set them free and let them have whatever they want.
Oh my goodness!
Dip their bread. Why not?
But that book I found really fascinating. I read his first one, Ways of Wind, and I found that quite heavy going. But this one was a lot easier. And,
it's lighter and a bit more. It's simpler written, if that makes some sense.
It is. Yes. And I found it really enjoyable. I mean, I do like historical things. And, but I found it fascinating. Just what they believed then, I believe now. Do you know what I mean? And religion is just some form of... We all need something to believe in.
Sure.
Whether it's Catholicism or Hinduism or Judaism, we all need something.
Sure.
I'm not religious as such.
What got you not to be though? Because right from the very beginning, I mean, even schools tell you what to believe. They don't.
God,
they tell you what to believe. So.
I lost an uncle,
right,
who was 20 years old, and that sort of I kept thinking, why would if there's a God, why would they take... I mean, I was only about 8 or 9 at the time. Why would they take him? Because he was a lovely man, he was young, and this, that, and the other. But he was on a kidney dialysis machine, and the machine flooded.
Well, blimey.
And when he was at home by himself, he shouldn't be at home by himself, but never mind. Right. And then my dad died when he was 47. And I just lost all faith before that. I went to church, I was at Church of England, went to church every Sunday, school rammed it into you, and I just lost my way and just totally became disinterested. I kept a lot of hypocrisy. I was divorced, like Helen, and I was told that I wasn't welcome in the church. But I mean, that's many, many years ago now. Sure. It's totally different now.
Yeah, but even now, if you are divorced, in some churches, if you're divorced and you want your marriage in the church,
yes,
they'll say, sorry, but we're not doing that.
Well,
some do. Some do. Some
but
don't.
I mean, isn't that mad?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a commitment you're making, and if you want, I mean, do we need a religious service? I wouldn't, but I mean, I did. That makes me a bit of a hypocrite. I mean,
me too.
I got married in church, but it didn't really make much difference.
But you see, it's the same with me. I've been married in churches, registry offices. I've been married all over the place.
Heck? I mean, it's a commitment you make to somebody. I mean, and at that time, for whatever reason, if you're lucky enough, my mum and dad, my mum wasn't lucky because he died when he was 47. Yeah. But, I mean, if you find somebody that you love, you're a very, very lucky person.
Absolutely. 100%.
I mean, God, I'm 64 now. Right. But, I mean, I think I'm still a bit of a romantic. Not that I go anywhere to meet anybody, I don't. Right. I'm a bit old and knackered now, but that's not the point. But I really thought that if Helen was looking for something easy to read,
that's a good one. Good choice.
Brian Bates' book is really good.
Good choice.
Changing totally now.
Right.
Testicles. Dogs' testicles.
Right.
No, I mean, you're on about that. I've got two male dogs.
Are they still attached?
They are definitely still attached.
Oh, right. Because the one I saw was a boxer, and they were drooping down about 7 or 8 inches, which are impressive for danglers.
But a bit uncomfortable, wouldn't it be? Having bobbing about there.
I'm a bloke. They are uncomfortable.
Well, yes. You not remember, but a couple of years ago, my ex-husband, who's been married 7 times, that's how keen he is.
Well, I suppose he's trumped me.
Yes.
Right.
We got back in touch, and he was coming across, and I said that he was coming across, and he said, you've got to remember, the noses grow, and so do their testicles. They don't stop. I never saw that part of him, so I was all right. And I didn't ask him for a quick
No, I was
look.
going to say, by the way, while you're here...
I was tempted to say, can I have a quick look to see if it's true? But I thought, no, that was sort of the wrong impression.
No, it's just, you can always tell a bloke's getting older. If you lie in the bath, and instead of looking like little neat little package,
right,
they spread out like a fisherman's net. That's not attractive.
No, I can imagine it's not. I'm glad I thought it was. I've been by myself for quite some time there. Because, I don't think that, splashing about, no, thank you.
No.
But, I've never had any trouble with my dogs. The oldest one, he's been used for stud 3 times. He's had 3 litters. The youngest one's just a puppy. He's only a year old.
So they're still all intact, and you haven't had to mutilate them at all?
No problems. They're not aggressive. They don't hump everything in sight. They certainly don't hump people's legs.
Oh, right, okay.
That's horrible. That's just badly behaved dogs.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, badly behaved owners, not the dogs, because the dogs just do what the owners, allow them to get away with. But I just, a few weeks ago, people were on about, you should have dogs castrated, to keep their temperaments and this, that, and the other. Absolute nonsense. It just plays havoc with the hormones. They put on weight. it doesn't stop aggression. I don't care what anybody says.
Well, now you've said that, let's let the owls have a chew on it. Thank you for coming on, Linda.
Well, thank you very much.
Top call as always. Well done. Thanks for ringing in.
Okay, bye.
Take care, love. Bye-bye. Well, yeah, she's left the testicles in place. Is she right, though? Does it calm them down? Blame it, calm me down. 0191 488 3188. Pick up your telephone and you call us right now.
The voice of the North.
Alan Robson's Night Owls. The phone-in that gets you talking.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Now, it just happens that October is Black History Month. Did you know that? I didn't know that. And on Greatest Hits, we are loving an awful lot of the amazing artists from all over the world who fit into that category. And Beverly Knight, who's a genuinely lovely woman, she's been in a couple of the Daft Pantos that we put together. And Beverly Knight is going to be picking her iconic artists, all of the people that inspired her, tell a load of stories about them, and she's going to play their tunes right here on Greatest Hits. The A to Z of black music starts Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Greatest Hits Radio, if you fancy it, and why the hell not? There you go. Emma Louise says, talking about dogs, my ex put himself out to stud a few times. I should have had his knackers taken off. And there you go. Yeah, once a cheat, always a cheat. Bum, bum, bum. Talking to the superstars, because it's the night owls. The stars come out at night. And just before I talk to Caitlin, who's in Ashington, I've got a superstar that I should have played before the last break, but I dawdled. Rick Buckler from The Jam. The Jam's drummer came in to see me, and I asked him, well, frankly, all sorts. What's the worst thing that's ever happened to the Rick Buckler body? Accidents?
Oh, that's
howling pain?
Loads. I turned my car head over heels when I was driving home with John Weller sitting in the car next to me. And we'd been up postering London with some advertising, some gigs. And we had a bucket of wallpaper paste in the front. And we hit these roadworks underneath, like they used to put old railway sleepers in the middle of the road. And we hit one, and we went straight over, like rolled over, bonnet over boot. And of course luckily we got out of the car and walked away. And John Weller turned around to me and he said, my brains are all coming out. And it was all this wallpaper paste, do you know what I mean? That was everywhere. So that wasn't a great. I think I broke my ankle in that one. I mean, I've put my foot through glass windows, and I mean, I'm not exactly accident prone, but
it's that rock and roll lifestyle. What are you frightened of? You got any rational or irrational fears?
I think, like most people, I can stand heights, but I don't like them.
Right.
You know, I don't think there is much that I would say that I was actually afraid of. But I find that to be an absolute failing, because I've got myself into some big trouble because I don't seem to have any sense when it comes to things like that. Do you know what I mean? You should be walking away from the edge, not looking over it. If you know what I mean.
For sure. Ever seen a ghost? Had a strange, spooky experience of any kind?
I owned a recording studio in Islington for a few years.
Yeah.
And late one night, I mean about 2 a.m, we were all just looking from the control room into the recording area.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, I got no idea what happened, but this music stand walked across the floor. You know those old spindly walk things?
Yeah, with the 3 legs.
Somebody had set one up to do some vocals and had it sitting there. And we were just listening to something, and all of a sudden this thing moved. And it literally walked about a foot to one side. And all of us went white as anything, thinking, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? And we thought that somebody had rigged it with a bit of string or something like that. And I got no idea what it was. You know, and where we had the studio was an old Victorian warehouse building. So
should have an awful lot of history.
It could well have been a ghost.
There you go. Fantastic. And Rick Buckler, of course, the drummer, and Glenn Matlock, all doing their different things. Amazing. Got another email this time about the Dogs Danglers. Yeah, it seems that I give you 1,000 things to talk about. You seem to choose the balls. But anyway, let's crack on. And this is Joyce. Now, Joyce lives in Crook in County Durham, and she says the only time that her boxer dog has ever growled or bitten her was when she stood on his testicles while he was lying in front of the fire. That'll probably do it. But then again, if you did that with your husband or your boyfriend, he'd probably bite you too. 0191 488 3188. We told you, Caitlin in Ashington. Somebody has written Ashghanistan. That's a bit naughty. Anyway, hi, Caitlin.
Hi, I'll take Afghanistan. It's all right.
What you got for me, darling?
On the topic of dogs danglers, before I talk about what I want to talk about, that just brought back a memory.
Oh, dear.
There was once at Morbus Fair, there was me, my auntie, my uncle and my two cousins sitting on a bench, and this massive pit pony-sized dog went past. And, like, you couldn't not look at it. And, like, it got to the point where I wanted to say something, my cousins wanted to say something, and we all looked at my uncle going, you're the one that's going to say something. And he came out, he mentioned out loud how massive they were.
But this is the thing, because why would you cut off something that's like that? Do you know what I mean? It's if it works and it doesn't. It's my rule of thumb about going to the hospital. If it doesn't hurt and it's not doing you any harm, don't cut it off. I mean, it sounds obvious to me, that one, but I know what you mean, because the one that I saw. And the one that I said was hypnotizing me, because it was, when they're walking, they go, like it's almost like a clock's pendulum, depending how, and you kind of get hit. Look at this, wow!
That's what we were like on the bench.
But the worst thing about it, you see, to me, I don't mind. You look at them and you kind of whoa, but the worst thing is those dogs that's tails up. And you see the pencil sharpener, and it's got bits of brown around it. Because what'll happen is the dog will get home, and whoever's there who's not walking it will go, oh, here's Sam, and give it a big cuddle, and it's probably just licked some of that shrapnel off its backside, and then it's gonna lick.
That dog coming anywhere near you.
It's not. You don't want that licking your chops, and some people literally. Put the mouth next to it where the dog's good. Oh, that's just wrong. It's just wrong. Anyway, you see, we've moved from the testicles up now to the sphincter. Where will it end? There's the question. We'll find out. But what else did you ring it for?
What I wanted to talk about was stuff that I haven't seen or done for ages, because obviously with lockdown, everything's come to a halt.
Absolutely.
I miss going out adventuring. Like, I used to go across to Carlisle all the time.
I love Carlisle, right.
And I haven't been across there for ages. I love just sitting on a train with my free first-class cuppa if I can afford it.
Brilliant.
Any other time, I just get a McDonald's cuppa, get normal standard class.
Absolutely. And the thing is, the first-class food that you get, sometimes they come along with a sandwich, or do you want your breakfast? Do you want breakfast? And you say, oh, aye, I'll have some of that. But
I went first class once as a treat, and I was surprised by a free croissant. I was buzzing on my way to leave. I was like, oh my God, free breakfast.
Yeah, he came up to me and he says, would you like a sandwich and some biscuits? And I'm thinking, I think I actually would. Thank you very much. But I don't do trains much, to be honest. But I've enjoyed the ones that I have, even if it's just economy and you take your own kit on board. That's as easy as anything. But the Carlisle, did you do the thing where you go around the town bit and then you go up that little mall thing that they have?
No, I used to go across because my grandma used to live across there until she passed away. So I used to go across, get the bus to her house, and then after I've had my dinner and everything and been attacked by an evil cat, I would walk back into Carlisle, and there was this bookshop. I'm hoping it's still there after all this lockdown and everything. That it's in a massive old building, and it's got about 4 floors, and I just loved it.
Brilliant.
I think it's called Bookends or something.
Right. But you see, doing what you do is just the best thing to do. Because if you've got a day spare, go and exploring a place that you don't go to. What I used to like doing when I had some time was hitting some of the little small Scottish border towns that I'd heard of, but never been to. And then you find it's got a castle. I didn't know it had a castle. There is it really? What's that all about? And you try and find the stories about it. And I love all of that. Just going out looking at something different. No, it's cool.
I miss my conventions as well. Like, I went to my first big one last year, and I was supposed to go again in May this year, and it got postponed to next April.
Convention about?
Gutted. TV show, Once Upon a Time.
All right, yes, you mentioned that to us before, right. No,
yeah, it's been postponed till next year. I was gutted, but at the same time, I just thought, well, I understand the circumstances. I can accept it. I'm fine.
And also, it'll be a bigger party when everybody does get back together again. Let's hope it's...
Yeah.
Hey, good stuff. Anything else then, Caitlin?
Not off the top of my head, apart from I've gotten 2 more tattoos.
Oh, tell me.
In the last month.
Where they're at and what are they? So we'll be able to recognise you in the dark.
One's on my right wrist, and it's of a hook for Captain Hook off Once Upon a Time, because he's my favourite.
Uh-huh.
And the other one is a flower, similar to the tattoo that one of the other characters on the show's got.
Right. So you're becoming a more painted person every month or so.
Yeah.
Good. Hey, well, enjoy. Thank you very much, Caitlin. Great hearing from you. Thanks for ringing in, love.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye. 01914 883 188. Alex is up the mountains in Chopwell. Charlie Choppers. Hello, Alex.
Hi, Alan. You all right?
Yes, I'm good, mate. What you got for me tonight?
Good. I just want to talk about pretty much what's happening at the minute with the virus and things like that. I know you've probably heard it a million times.
That's all right. Where do you stand on everything, mate?
Well, to be honest, I don't really buy it.
Right.
The science just doesn't stack up. The numbers don't stack up. The tests don't add up at all. I mean, I think every man and his dog kind of sees it for what it's really turned out to be. I think it's just. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't add up.
You think it's bull?
Yeah, I do.
But you see, a lot of people feel that way too. A lot of doctors are coming up to that, and nurses, for heaven's sake, are coming up with that. Scientists are even saying that. Yeah. But the thing is, if it is a created thing, and they are doing what many people think, which is labelling everybody who dies with COVID until the family complain and say, well, actually, they were hit by a bus. Oh, but they had COVID. You know, so... if you label everybody who dies, because I mentioned at the top of the show, there are 15% less deaths this year than there were last year.
That's true. We're actually the lowest death rate in 5 years.
So that being the case, why are we in a lockdown at all?
It doesn't make any sense.
But we are. But if that is the case, why has this country and the world taken it as seriously as they have? And they've all changed the way that they collect stats to fit the virus rather than treating it just like a virus. So, but why would the whole world be in on it? And how the hell does that happen? Because even countries we're not friendly with are saying the same thing. Or is it just every nation's trying to regain control of its people? I truly don't know.
I think there is a bit of that, to be honest. I mean, you can use Sweden as an example of they haven't done anything really, and the numbers are exactly the same as what we're witnessing.
Yes, yeah. So what they're saying is that they've still got their economy.
Yes.
Because nothing's changed. Everybody's still at work. Nobody's lost a job. Nobody's been on furlough. There have been people that have caught the virus because people do, and every year they catch a whole range of viruses in Sweden. But that's the same as last year, pretty much, and it's not hugely different. Yeah. But they've kept their economy and they've kept their people at work, while the rest of the world has sacrificed their business.
I mean, the lives this has destroyed. I mean, it's quite. What's the word? It's quite. Is it a coincidence that these seem to happen in the flu seasons? It seems to work for the. Yeah,
but you see that the thing that I think most people are thinking. well, hang on a second, this doesn't sound quite right. We were told, but as soon as April and May start and the weather gets warmer, it'll burn out because that's what happens to every virus.
Yeah.
And then it didn't because it doesn't. And then they said, but it's only when people sneeze, so if you keep your mouths covered. No, that's not true either. And then scientists say wearing a mask doesn't make any difference. So you're thinking, well, what does? Does distance? And then they say if somebody sneezes, they can sneeze over 12 feet.
Yeah.
Well, that's more than...
that's it. I mean, obviously everyone wears masks, and I don't personally, but most people do.
But you see,
So
people will then say to you, it's not necessarily you because you're probably young enough to get over whatever the hell, people would get, but you're putting your older relatives and older neighbours at risk by not obeying.
Yes.
Bad boy.
So, so the masks, for example, everyone's wearing masks that have been for over a month or more seriously.
Bit longer than that, but yes.
Well, yeah, sorry. So it's how are the cases going up?
Right. Well, they say it's because
it's so prevalent.
Yeah, but what they say was, and Boris is saying, it's because of this. They did the whole go out and eat thing. But you can get delivery this and delivery that, and you can go to restaurants and start putting money back into the economy. And everybody did, and of course you cannot eat with your mask on, can't drink with your mask on, so off they come. Now, it's kind of common sense if there's any kind of virus. It's going to go up as soon as you start doing all of those things. And then they got a surprise that all the numbers had gone up. Well, it was pretty obvious, wasn't it? I mean, I knew that they would, but I thought the people that go out and party hardy, students, teens, 20s, early 30s, that crowd, the cool, hot crowd of the moment, they're the ones that are strongest to be able to cope with it. And if they personally feel that they're doing enough for their own safety, we are supposed to live in a free country where you can make those kind of decisions. But now the government say, no, but because we're in this situation, we can use extreme power, which means we don't have to ask the House of Commons whether we can do it, because a lot of the Tories' own MPs are completely against the way that everything's being handled.
All the legislations that are being put out are just getting rushed through. I mean, they're missing out the House of Commons, they're missing out the House of Lords, they're getting signed off by the Queen, and that's it. And some of the legislations are a bit out there for what you would class as a virus. I mean, doctors, you only need one doctor now to sign you off as a mental patient. Where I think it used to be 3 before. I mean, why would that legislation change? I mean, that's an interesting one that's in the legislation.
Well, there's an awful lot of things that people can question. You see, I have a degree of sympathy with anybody who happens to be a leader, because if every other country does this, and you are Sweden, say, you get, because the Swedish government have been criticised by people all over the world, and some of their own people have said, what the hell? The rest of the world's doing this, and they're all going to die. It's going to be terrible.
Exactly.
And a lot of people, but a lot of people did die, and it's all been labelled as COVID. I don't want anybody to die. I don't want anybody to have a cough. I want everybody to be well and live happily ever after. I truly do. I've watched enough Disney films to know it can happen. So I want that to be the case. But the bottom line is, if somebody passes, it's a tragedy, but tell us the truth about how they died. Don't just stick it down as something that you want it to be because your hospital will make a little bit more money if you say it was COVID.
That's it. I mean, even I think it's the same in this country. If you have a patient that comes in and they are put on a ventilator, the amount of money that the hospital gets paid out is substantial compared if they just came in and they died naturally, for example. If you put them on a ventilator, I mean, the evidence is there if people want to go and read it. You do get, I mean, in America, I think they get $37,000 if they're put on a ventilator for 5 minutes, and $5,000 if they're not. Which is, I mean, it's disgusting. I mean,
it's all about the money. And you see, if you keep that going, we'll have this until the next virus comes along. Well, and then we'll have to do the same thing again, because next time there's a virus coming around, Think about how many. I can name probably 15 over the last 30 years that have been major and have 15,000 deaths here, 20,000 deaths, 30,000. Now, what you can't do with the next virus is just let it, just take it for granted, like we always have. We've got to go down this road now, haven't we? Locking up airport. We can't go on holiday. You can't see your nana. You can't see your family in hospital.
Well, I mean, we've had people don't realise this. Well, a lot of people. We had coronavirus in 2003, 2004, and 2013. Nobody heard about it.
No, we just called it. We called them different names, though.
Well, there were actually coronaviruses, but you're right. They just had a different name. This one's obviously COVID-19, which is a name. Obviously, it was probably the year. I think it's the year it came out, is it? Because it started last year, didn't it? Towards the end of last year. So I think that's why you got the name. But it's like what we get every year. I mean, the test for it's only 7% accurate. So the numbers that are positive are majorly false positives. So the amount of numbers that's coming out in, say, mainstream media and outlets, things like that, they're actually only 7% positive. So they're locking you down on the back of a PCR test, which by the inventor even said this is not to be used as a test for a virus.
The thing that I found most interesting, though, was that even today, in 3 of the national newspapers, they had the graphs. They had one graph on one side saying the number of people with COVID in the UK at the moment, and it kind of went up to the peak around about April. Then it came down low, and it remains low to this day. And that's deaths.
Yes,
the deaths are really, really low.
Exactly.
But the people contracting it, because obviously it's university students and what have you, and people going to pubs, a massively high number. Now, to me, if the vast majority of people who are contracting it have the odd symptom, but they're healthy and they're going to get over it, and they don't need hospital treatment, they don't even need medication, they just need a week or two to pull themselves round.
Yeah.
What are we doing then, if that's the case? What are we doing?
I mean, most people, if you think yourself, if you go to the doctor, you've got a virus. I mean, we've all probably had them. You all just go to bed and sleep it off. But now you've got to isolate for so long. And I mean, they're obviously talking about the vaccine. I mean, what? Considering nobody's dying from it, what are we getting a vaccine for?
And will it ever
come? To rush a vaccine for? I mean, what?
Well, will it ever happen? Will it ever happen? Because you see, people have been saying, the common cold, we're going to have a vaccine for that in the next 10 years. They said that about 1960. It's 2020 now, and they're still saying, the common cold, it's only a matter of time. Because it's the kind of thing, the cold, that changes and it morphs and it becomes something slightly different. And that's normal.
That's exactly it. Yeah, so the vaccine they're actually trying to produce will be absolutely useless when it's actually available. Because obviously, like you say, the strain changes year on year. So what's happening is they're going to develop the vaccine for whatever they think this is, and it's going to be a totally different strain by the time it actually comes out. So you've got to question why they want to vaccinate 66 million people, and we're supposed to be getting 5 shots of this vaccine, and you think, well, if there's no deaths from it, we've got the lowest death rate in 5 years, what's the vaccine for? I mean,
leave it there. Let the night owls answer that one for you. Thank you for coming on, Alex.
Take care now. See you.
All the best. Bye-bye. Piece of music. We're talking to the stars. Pretenders, top band. This is Chrissy Hynde.
Oh, I've had some knee operations. I've had some knee injuries on tour. Feet just wear and tear. That's all.
So basic MOT stuff. That's what we're talking about here. Okay. What are you frightened of? You got any rational or irrational fears?
Okay. Well, I wouldn't want to talk about them because I don't like to evoke. But yeah, I mean, I can get the supernatural. I can get a little bit derailed if I'm, if I feel something isn't quite right there. But who's I've not particularly. That
was going to be my next question, whether you'd ever seen a ghost or experienced anything vivid that was
I think I've experienced. I'm quite sensitive. Have I seen a ghost? Yeah, I'm not sure if I have. I mean, it seems like the kind of thing you remember, but I've forgotten a lot of things, so I may well have.
But you're
I
open
did
to
walk-
you when you say you're sensitive. How does that show itself?
Well, I was in Woodstock making a record up at a place that Albert Grossman had, Bearsville Studios.
Right.
And I was staying in the one cottage there. And I couldn't stay in there without every light in the house on. And I'm not really a very nervous person.
Sure.
And no one could. I couldn't even go in that house. I had to move out of that house.
Wow.
In fact, it was a little cottage. And then I later, when I went up to catering, someone said, "Oh, you were down in Turtle Creek," and they all looked at each other, and I thought, okay, well, there was that. There's been that was quite a notorious place.
Right.
I've walked into a hotel room, turned around and walked back down to the desk and said I can't stay there, and found out that someone jumped out of the window a couple weeks earlier.
Whoa.
So I'm quite sensitive
No,
to that.
you do pick stuff up. That's
Sort of thing.
Wow.
Yeah, so thanks for mentioning it, because I try not to think about that stuff too much.
Right. Okay. We'll leave it where it is, locked away.
Night Owls with Alan Robson.
You never know who's going to call next.
Greatest Hits Radio.
Hello, everybody, and again, hi to everyone who's watching on Facebook or YouTube or any of the other devices. Thank you very much, Tracy, who's loving the show, and Betty loves me. Thank you, Bet. Great to hear from you too. I am kind of trying to keep up, but it's a busy little stream you got going there. Also, it's time for our second clue. Now, you've got to try and identify a greatest hit from 4 words. Sounds impossible, but some of you will just get it. It'll just hit you and go, oh, I know what that is. Make sure you give me a call at the end of the show once you've heard all 4 clues. 4 clues give you 4 words. Those 4 words will give you the name of a big hit that I bet you've sung along to, even if you didn't want to. It's one of those kind of hits. Here we go. Clue number 1. Take the P out of Winnie the Pooh. Okay? Especially that word. Okay? Take the P out of Pooh. Simple. Second clue. 3 times the 5th letter of the alphabet. 3 times the 5th letter of the alphabet. I'm picturing, go, B. So, you're 2 clues in. What's the song? Don't ring in yet till you hear the 4th clue, otherwise you will get it wrong. Right, let's crack on. We have Ross, who is in Blythe. At the beginning of the show, we were talking to you, what kind of things have you seen recently that you haven't seen in the longest time? Like me finding that Sooty and Sweep puppet, and everybody, when they were kids, did that. Sooty's telling me, Sooty's saying what? Because he never said anything in the TV series, so we thought we could get away with it. Ross has got his own stories from Blythe. Hiya, Ross.
Hello, Alan.
Hello, mate.
Hi. But again, I want to keep it light-hearted, stay away from the COVID and
okay.
Politics. But something I saw on a little wander the other day was white dog poo. Aye.
You used to see white dog poo everywhere, and I don't even know why it was white.
Well, I've got no idea, but I don't want to delve into dog's bollocks, but we'll talk about dog poo. But I used to see it a lot. I don't know if it's the diet or the...
That's probably that. Yeah, because we used to give them meat, and now we give them other stuff. So I don't know whether that has anything to do with it. But yeah, we used to see, it was really common. You would see white dog poo, like chalk almost, everywhere. But you never see that now.
Oh, no idea where that comes from. But as well, you never see porn mags anymore. No, in the woods.
In the woods. In the woods?
Well, we used to when we were younger.
Yeah. No, absolutely, because if you tried to look at them anywhere else, you would get into some serious kind of trouble.
Oh, Spira bars, remember them?
Yes,
Spira?
I do. Blimey.
Tab clear.
Uh-huh.
White can of Coca-Cola, which was clear, God knows.
I don't remember that.
Right. Well, don't worry, I've got a post-it note here. Woolworths pick and mix.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I go in there with your mum.
Yeah.
Grabbing extras without them knowing and eating them before you got the till. Our Price Records, which was attached to Woolworths.
That was great.
Geordie Jeans.
Yeah.
Geordie Jeans.
Brilliant.
Another thing that cropped up, remember the huts at the Haymarket bus station?
Yes.
Where there was a Newcastle one that sold the programmes and the scarves and that.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was my first memory. 1988, 89, Gaza was still there.
Yeah.
Bought the scarf. It was a yellow and green away kit.
Uh-huh.
I thought this is absolutely amazing. Getting the bus, Newcastle, going to the match. Oh, it was like, I thought it was the bee's knees, but but you had the last one before about random train rides.
Yeah, just going out exploring somewhere.
Well, that brought up when we were like free, shall we say free students at uni back in the day.
Yeah.
What a free day or an afternoon. We'd go to Newcastle Central Station and just point at the board and go right.
We're going there.
We'll go there.
Brilliant.
We did. We went to York, Edinburgh, and I think went to Carlisle as well.
Great.
Just did off. Went to the pubs, had a good laugh. Come back because we could, you know what I mean? But
absolutely. Great.
You can't do that these days. I mean, God knows what you're allowed to do now, but no. But car boot sales, someone was on about them before.
Yeah.
Aye, we went to one, we made 90 quid, we thought it was like, fortune. Oh, young'uns and that, but what a good night out after that.
Where'd you get all the stuff from, though? Because you need a decent table full of stuff.
Well, it was random rubbish that was sold. Right, at one point, we got desperate. I was on the floor with a 50p post-it note on my forehead saying, I'm available. But
and presumably you were left on the shelf that day.
It got to a point where, we had a good night out after that. But the thing is, we got there, right, and I think it was my mate's dad's car. Yeah. The professional car boot people were in our boot before we could say boot to a goose. We hadn't even turned the engine off. They're rifling through our boot, getting the DVDs and the best of the clothes, because they knew what was going to sell.
And they also knew what next time they did a car booty, they'd sell all of your stuff dearer than you would.
We were like, all right, fair enough. We were like, whatever. We just want enough money to have a night out, you know what I mean? But they were going nuts. But happy birthday, Alan.
Thanks, mate.
It was my mate Ian's birthday as well. Yesterday. Spelled with an extra I. He's like one of those special people. He's got an I-A and an I and then an N.
Posh.
So I had it. As usual, a party on Zoom. Getting mortal.
Excellent.
All on my laptop, but but that's what we're doing these days. But I don't know if you've realised there's a great indie music night on. It's our little indie night.
All right.
All in that are doing every few weeks. They've raised £11,000 for charities so far since the lockdown.
That's fantastic.
Because people. We've done it ourselves. We've requested songs, and then they go, right, well, yeah, but ideally, if you put a donation in, we'll play your tunes, and they do, to be fair. So they've been going on, and that's the way they're doing it. But
it's tremendous.
They're trying to get through all this.
No, that's good. Well, I know you've got to do something, though, otherwise it drives you mad. It's just that I'm the kind of person that when you're at school and the teacher tells you to do something, you really don't want to do it, so you find every excuse not to do what they're telling you. I'm starting to feel like that. What are they telling me? Oh, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to do this. And I'm getting to the point of revolution, and I'm not particularly the revolution kind of person, but I'm hearing so much rubbish coming out of all directions. It just seems that we're getting to a point where a change is going to have to come, as the blues people used to say in the 1950s. A change is going to come, for sure.
But are you seeing the football today?
Yeah, little bits of it. All the big teams seem to have got hammered.
Oh, my God. I'm going this way. Newcastle are going to win the league, right? Was it 7-2?
Yeah.
6-1, Liverpool. Unbelievable,
Why do you think that people are scoring so many goals? Because this is not normal in the Premiership. Usually you get a whole weekend sport and there's 7 goals. What's going on?
No, maybe it's the lack of crowd. I don't know. Maybe, I know 2 Liverpool players have currently got tested positive. So whether they've all got it and they don't realise, I don't know. But now go back to real football. Blythe Spartans.
Yeah.
Legend, Robbie Dale, 17 seasons. He's been there. Yeah. He's now decided to retire, and he is got voted, I think, was the best non-league player ever. What a legend he's been. He scored from the inside of his own half once and with a volley. I remember I was sitting there. Unbelievable. So, unfortunately, he's looked at the situation because they're not allowed to travel, or if they're travelling, the area's on lockdown, then they can't go. So he's looked at it and thought, oh, God, he's 36. He's thought, all right, I'll bow out. But he's a really big guy in Blythe here. But
and he also deserves the chance. They must put a testimonial or something on for him.
Well, no. Funny thing is, you already had one. You had one 7 years ago. You had one, yeah.
He should have another one. He deserves it after that.
There's a crowdfunding page to put a statue up for him in the marketplace. They want to rename the stand after him.
Great.
So, he had the chance to go big. He went to a league club for a few weeks, didn't enjoy it, come back to Blythe. So,
he found his place, and he's the local hero, isn't he? That's the thing.
But I think Newcastle might do all right this season. I mean, on about religion. I mean, I'm not religious, but I think this saint that we've got, the Saint Maxim.
Special player.
What a player he is! Ooh.
Yeah.
Him and Wilson link up. You never know.
Yeah.
So we'll see what
Gotta
happens.
watch it.
But,
I thought we were going to end up with that Chelsea player, but I think West Ham's going to get him.
Ooh.
Is it Maitland Niles?
Right, aye. But no, it's turned out all right lately. But we can't get into religion too much because there'll be people going mental. But I don't want to end on a bad note. But have you seen the latest news coming out of Newcastle? There's been 4 young'uns found dead last night. And they reckon it's been some sort of dodgy drugs.
Oh, blimey, that's horrific.
18-year-old.
I heard that one
21.
had passed this morning, but 3 more. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's turned out it's 4, so, I mean, I don't know, it's not good, but...
Yeah, they said it was not a COVID-related thing, but they could have the same problem in common, so we're presuming it's drugs, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's come on nowadays, but they haven't... Thing is, they should identify exactly what it was. They
as soon as possible, absolutely. They should.
But that's the thing. They're experimenting first year at uni, all that, and then on lockdown they'll be thinking, well, whatever. Yeah. So I can see how it's happened, but it's a sad state of affairs.
It's awful.
Anyway, but no. I saw white dog poo. God, if you see any, just let us know.
I'll pick it up, put it in an envelope, and we'll send it your way, Ross.
Oh God! Right. Oh, we should have instead of a ghost hunt, we'll have a
white poo. Absolutely, we shall do that. We shall seek out ghost poo. We'll call it.
But you don't look a day over 40. Oh God, no. 42.
Each leg. Absolutely. Hey, anyway, Ross, thank you for calling. All the best.
Right. Bye.
Yeah, enough of that. Now, talk about things you haven't heard for a while, I haven't seen for a while. We lost a listener. Well, we didn't lose a listener. She's been with us ever since, but she decided not to partake in the shows, and we've missed her since then. She's had a few health issues, I gather, but I'm very proud to say Hazel from Gateshead is back. Hello, Hazel.
Hello, Alan.
Hello, you. Hey, blimey, we've missed you. How are you doing? I mean, how's the health these days?
Well, I've missed you as well. I've had a year from hell.
Oh, what's happened?
Well, I'm saying a year from hell, a few months. I went into the kitchen, right?
Right.
Fell down.
Oh. Right.
For no particular reason. I just went in for a drink of milk. Split my head open.
Oh.
And the next thing I knew, I had to dial the 111 people.
Right.
Whipped us up to the QE and found out I had a lot of tiny little ulcers in the left-hand side of my tummy.
And what does that mean? What was that then?
They don't know. It knocked us all sideways.
Oh,
and so they gave us medication. Mind, they were wonderful at the QE.
Good.
But they got it all sorted out.
Right.
And I'm up and running now.
That's good. I thought the only reason Hazel's back is because Cliff's got a book out this week. Is that right?
I don't know.
He's got his life story thing coming out. I don't know whether it's this week or next week. It's definitely October.
All right.
So watch out in places like Waterstones and W.H. Smith's because it's the his whole life story by him.
Oh.
So you'll have to get a hold of that.
I definitely will.
Right.
Well, I'm still in touch with him.
That's good.
And with the Wild Wines people.
Uh-huh.
And I still get the wine.
Well, yeah, that's why I thought you'd fallen down.
No.
Right.
You know, I wasn't drunk or anything. No. I think it was just purely old age. But mind, the QE was great.
No, that's good. But I mean, the little white things in your belly then, what's happened to them? Are they still there or have they gone away?
They've all gone. Everything's up and running.
Oh, that's good.
They've given us these weird tablets. Hang on, I'll tell you what they call them. I can't pronounce them. Omeprazole.
Omeprazole?
Yep.
I'm fairly sure omeprazole is the equivalent of calling you Hazel. Do you know what I mean? But even so,
well,
somebody low.
But you would have laughed in hospital. Well, they didn't keep us in, you know. They just checked us over and then hide us out.
Right.
Because they said I was a troublemaker.
Well, I could understand that. Now, they did not want you to keep you in.
Do you know why they said I was a troublemaker?
Why that?
I mean, fancy telling me that I'm a troublemaker. Well, I was sitting watching this great big television screen.
Right.
And it had heat radio.
Right.
On the television screen.
Okay.
So I said to the guy that was sitting opposite me, I said, "Hey, what's that on there?" He says, "Heat radio." No. I says, "That's all wrong." He says, "How's that like?" I says, "It shouldn't be heat radio. It should be metro radio, and underneath it should have Alan Robson."
Oh, right.
He says, oh, right. He says, "I know who you are."
There you go.
Here we go. And here he must have recognised my voice, and we got on talking about the show.
Ah, that's lovely. That's good.
So I said, "Well, get that off there, and I want Metro Radio, Alan Robson."
Right.
So when the doctor comes through to see that I could go, he says, "I will just walk you out." I says, "Go on then." He says, "And then I'm going to throw you out." Yeah, I says, "What for?" He says, "Troublemaker, you."
There you go, you see.
I says,
trying to change the way they do things there. But, I mean, the bottom line is you're all right, though. There's nothing long-term. Thank heavens for that. That's good news.
I'm really fitting well now.
That's
up and
good.
running.
Good stuff. Good
Back
to hear.
behind the wheel, driving, shopping, everything.
And you've dealt with all of this COVID stuff all right? Because, I mean, technically, going to a hospital at a time when all of this is going on is a worrying thing, because you can catch as much as you can get rid of in places
That's
like
right, but it hasn't bothered me a bit.
that. Good.
You know, I've got no cough or cold or anything.
Right.
I've got to take the tablets.
Right.
Which the doctor said, "You'll be on these for the rest of your life."
Oh,
I said, "Well, fair enough."
Blimey, so did they not tell you what these ulcerations were then?
He just said it was one of those things that happened in old age. I said, "Well, thanks for that, but I will punch your leg."
Yeah, but this is the thing, because when you get to a certain age,
I know.
When you talk to medical professionals, it's not, "Oh, well, I'll give you some tablets and we'll get rid of that." It's, we just get on with it. It's like, "Oh, you got a bad knee. That'll be arthritis. You'll have that for the rest of your life." And you kind of, whoa, hang on a second.
I know.
That's just copping out as far as I'm concerned.
I thought, mind, I haven't been back, touch wood, I haven't been back to the hospital.
Good.
They've never bothered with me. No letters, no doctors, nothing.
Brilliant.
So I thought, right, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
If the big fella upstairs wants me, well, if he needs another knitter, he can have me.
I was going to say that he'll know how much trouble you'd cause. And also, even though Cliff is a Christian, I'm not sure he wants to hear you talking about him until it's his time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Loads of people are sending little messages in saying, "Welcome back. Glad you're well. Glad you made a good recovery. Lots of love." There you go. So that's from Susan Davison sending that one in. A lot of other people saying, "Good to hear you, which is great."
What they've all got to do now is they've all got to get on the computers. And what they've got to do is they've got to find out why. Now, I'm not religious, but why are there no pussycats in the Bible? So that's one thing they've got to do.
Right.
Then they've got to find out, why are Jesus' mates, why do they all have British names?
There you go.
So
that's a good question.
They've got to get the computers out and they've got to find that out.
Right, done. Hazel's challenge for this week. Hey, great to hear from you, Hazel. I'm glad you're well.
Yes, I'm fitting well.
Brilliant. Look forward to hearing from you again. Thanks for coming on, darling. You take care.
I'll be back next week.
Look forward to it. There you go. Hazel's back. Hurrah! And we're going to play a little piece of music in celebration, and also to let you guys know that are watching that this is when we kind of click the button. And if you want to continue listening, please do. Got so much more for you. And on a show where we seem to have centered on dangling dogs' bits and bums and shrapnel, all of that, what's the blah going to be like? Well, it comes up after a great tune. Love this, just because it's wacky and wild, and you can't help yourself singing it. Simple as that. It's a tad of Wild Cherry.